Recording in progress.
طيب السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Um, I'm sorry for not showing up today because um, I have to go with my family to the doctor, and then we are going somewhere else after the doctor. So I saw I have to make this record just to give you opportunity to continue, inshallah, and to keep up with the classes, inshallah ta'ala. And I wanted to ask for making this class 2 hours before, and I saw it's not fair to tell you that. So I saw it is okay to apologize for showing up today and give you this record. So inshallah, this record will be benefit and be useful for you, inshallah ta'ala. Today, inshallah, we are going to talk about the argument of al-Huduth, the argument of emergency, okay, or the argument of God existence. And in order to start, so we have to know 8 idioms. We have 8 idioms we need to know. The first one is the body. The body. So, what is the body? The body in Arabic, it means jism, and it's important to know the Arabic jism. It is important to know what is the Arabic equivalent or the Arabic meaning, because in the advanced book we're not going to say body anymore, we're going to say jism. Okay, so what is body? Body is like my body. Okay, this is a body. A rock, a stones, a book, a building, anything. It's called it's materialistic thing. It's body. Okay, and the things that we see in the world, it is bodies and other things. Okay, so what is body? Body is a being that this being is stretched in 3 dimensions. The الطول والعرض والارتفاع, the 3D dimensions that we know. Okay, the tall and height and the depth. So that is the body. The second thing we need to know is the accident. What is the accident? What are the accident? If it comes to your mind that accident is 2 cars smashed in each other's, this is the accident in daily life. But the accident that we are talking about in philosophy, it is the attribute that is existed in a body. Okay, for example, the colors of things, the color of my shirt, this color, it's called an accident. Okay, the movement of a body, so this body is in a wrist, and now it is moving, so the wrist is an accident. Body, and this body is in a wrist, so wrist is an accident. And when it started to move, that is called an accident also. The accident of wrist, it's a wrist, and the other accident which is moving is the motion. The accident in Arabic, it means arad. And why we named it as an accident? Because it comes and goes. Okay, Like if you saw a body that in a rest, it might be moving, okay? And the body that is moving, it is okay to find it at some point in a rest. So the moving is over, and then another attribution um, um, attributed to this, okay, which is rest. So it's like an accident happened to it, which is a rest after a motion. طيب. The third idiom we need to know is the necessary being. I don't know. Necessary. I'm not sure if my English is spelling good or not. The necessary being, it means in Arabic al-wajib, the necessary existent. Al-wajib. What is the necessary existence? The necessary existent being, we define it as a being that is impossible to be it is impossible to not to exist. Impossible not to exist. Like the existence of Allah, like the existence of 1 + 1 = 2. So 2 is necessary necessary like al-wajib subhanahu wa ta'ala. طيب. The contingent, or let's number 4 is the impossible. Something is impossible. What does it mean? Impossible means in Arabic means al-mumtani' or al-mustahil. Al-mumtani'. Okay. What is al-mumtani'? What is impossible thing? Impossible thing is the thing that doesn't accept to be exist. Okay, like the ijtima'u naqidain, if the two contradictions, it is impossible to come together. Okay. Let me give you an example. If I tell you that I am Ahmed and I am not Ahmed at the same time, on the same universe, in the same place, that is impossible because the thing and the contradiction. So that is impossible. The number 5 is al-mumkin. Al-mumkin in English, it means the contingent. So what is the contingent? Contingent, it means al-mumkin. Al-mumkin. And what is al-mumkin? The contingent is the being that is okay to exist and not to exist. Like me, like the human beings. Ahmed, for example. It's okay to be exist and it's okay to not to exist. When we say it is possible to be exist and it is possible to be not to exist, we mean that if it existed, there is no contradiction. It will not leading to a contradiction, and if it wasn't existed, like if it in the nothingness, it didn't come to the existence yet. So it is okay. There is no contradictions happens. Okay. So this is the first 5 idioms. We have 3 more. Number 3 is al-hadith. Number 6 is al-hadith. What is al-hadith? Al-hadith in English, it means the emergent. emergent. In Arabic, it means al-hadith. What is al-hadith? The emergent is the being that existed after not being existed. Like it was Adam, like it was in the nothingness. Okay? It wasn't exist, and then it is existed. This is called al-hadith. I'll give you an example. Like me before 29 years old. Before 29 years old, I wasn't here on the earth. I wasn't existed. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created me, and then I existed. So I am hadith. I am existed now. Hadith. Now, the world. What is the world? And متكلمين في اصطلاح المتكلمين. What is the world? When a متكلم say a world, what does he mean by a world? In Arabic, it means al-alam. Al-alam, or the world, is everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. That's the definition. So what is the world? Is anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, number 8. Okay, so no. It's 7 idioms we need to know. That is all the things we need to know as introduction. Now, what is the argument of God existence? The first argument, we say al-alamu hadith. The world is emergent. That is premise number 1. Premise number 2. Every emergent needs what does it called in English? Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Just 1 second. Let's see here. It's in a book. Excuse my poor English. Necessity and contingence. The God existence. طيب يعني so every let's say every emergent needs a creator or needs muhdith. Muhdith is the doer of this emergent thing. So let's say needs a fa'il, doer, needs a doer to make it popping up to the existence. So number 3, the conclusion, the result, which is the world needs a doer or a creator. Good. That's very good. Okay. Now, the first premise, people don't believe it and they say, okay, no, the world is not emergent. So what is the argument that this premise is true? Because if the man that we talk to believe that this is true and this is true, so consequentially that result also will be true, and this doer will be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very good. Okay. First, the world is emergent. What does it mean the world is emergent? It means everything other than Allah, which means the world, is hadith, emergent. Now, what is the argument of this? Let's say it. The argument of this is, we say the bodies. Okay, first, the world is a combination between bodies and accidents. أجسام وأعراض. So what is the world? The world is everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we look at the world, we see bodies and accidents that is attributed to this body. For example, you have a body and the accident, which is being collected together, that's an accident, or being like separated from each other, that's another accident. Being moving, being in a rest, being with a color, being with like heavy, like viscosity is thick or light. Okay, all of these things, it's a'rad, accidents, body with an accident. That is the world. Okay, if you agreed with me that the world, okay, the world we see bodies and accidents. So we say the world or the bodies doesn't or impossible to exist without an accident. So bodies doesn't exist without accidents. Bodies doesn't exist without an accident. Like if you saw a body, it has to be gathering with an accident. Okay, and if you believe that this premise is correct, so premise number 2 is what cannot exists without an accident is emergent. So the result is the bodies are emergent. Okay, now again, so we claim in a premise that the bodies doesn't exist without an accident, and the thing that cannot exist without an accident is emergent. So the body is emergent. Now, if this is true and this is true, that consequentially will be definitely true. But the thing is, the debater with you, he says no. I don't believe that bodies doesn't exist without an accident, and we say it is impossible. And let us clarify this to you. Imagine that there is a body that is without any accident, without moving, without any motion, without any rest, without any gathering, without any like separation, without a color. That is impossible. At least, at least, anybody either moving or not moving. Moving is an accident, and a rest is another accident. So, the premise number one, it's definitely true. It's Bahiyyah, axiom. It's something that you cannot deny unless you are a mad man. So all the rational people say yes, bodies doesn't exist without an accident. Now, premise number two, what cannot exist without an accident is emergent. No. They say no. We can see bodies that exists with an accident like motion, and it is eternal. It is not emergent. So the world, it can be, we can see like planets moving since eternity, and mountains in a rest since eternity. And it doesn't mean that these bodies are emergent. It is not enough to say that the accidents, the bodies, for as long as they don't exist without an accident, so they are emergent. No, we don't say this. We say, okay, no, you have to say this because of the following. We say that all the accidents, جميع الأعراض, all the accidents are emergent. All the accidents are emergent. How could you know that all the accidents are emergent? Either you see that all the accidents wasn't there and then popped up to the existence, or by the rational argument. First, let's talk about the things that we see, because it's very obvious. Like motion, okay? If you saw like a body here, it's an wrist, my cell phone, okay? And then this cell phone started to moving. So the motion wasn't there, and then the motion existed. Okay? So the motion accident is an emergent. Okay? So you can say, okay, but what is the proof that the emergent accident, what is the proof that a mountain which is in a rest since the beginning, not since the beginning, since the eternity, there is no beginning originally, there is no beginning, okay? And since eternity, the mountains were in a rest, okay? And since the beginning, the planets were moving without stopping. Now, yes, these emergent, these accidents are emergent. But how could you say that? How could you say that um, these accident wasn't there? Like since the beginning, it was moving. So moving since the beginning was there. Since the beginning, it was an arrest. So arrest was there. Okay? We say no. If the thing, if the accident accept, if the accidents accept to exist and accept not to exist, so it's a contingent. ممكن. Again, let's erase this. And we say, one, all the accidents are emergent. Okay. Now, just 1 second. Let me put the charger. Okay. So we say all the accidents are emergent, and this premise we don't believe, because we see accidents that since the beginning was there, like the mountains. They are in a rest. And a rest is an accident, and it was there since the beginning. So we say no. If you remember at the beginning of the class, we defined the contingent. The contingent is a being that accepts to exist and not to exist. Like if it's there, it is okay, and if it's not there, it is okay also. Okay? So imagine that there's like a balance, and this is the balance of existence. Okay? Like there's like one hand and another hand, and they are here. Okay? And this hand is the existence. The existence. And the other hand is the nothingness, I think. Let me translate it very quickly. Al-Adam. Nothingness, yeah. Or nothingness, yeah. So, if something that I accept to be in existence and accept to be in the nothingness, but we found this hand is down, like it's existed. Okay, just give me 1 second because someone is knocking the door. Just 1 second. Sorry for that. Okay, so we said that. طيب. What we said. Okay. We said that if the thing was existed, so that means this hand is rajiha, like it's like this. So this thing is existed, and the nothingness, it's not down, okay? So we say it is impossible that this thing happens without the effector, okay? So I mean, it has to, like, it is impossible that this hand goes down without an effect, okay? But the things that accidents accepts to exist, and accept to not to exist. But it exists. Okay, so what is the result? The result is it has to be created by the creator or the effector. Okay, and exactly this side, if it not exists, like a body and a wrist, so this accident will be in the nothingness, so the wrist will disappear and start to move, so the wrist will be in the nothingness. So also it wasn't exist, and then it was existed, or it exists, it was exist, and then it is not exist, so it has to be by an effector. So we say that this thing or this effect is creation. So all contingent things are emergent, and all the modes or the accidents are emergent. Okay? If you know this, we say all the accidents are emergent, and then all the bodies cannot exist without an accident. So the result is all the bodies are emergent. Okay, so again, we say that if you have a body, okay, this body, we say that this body, in order to exist, it has to be combining with an accident, a body with an accident, and at least moving or resting. I mean, can you see a body without either moving or resting? It is impossible. So we say that if this is a body, it has to be exist alongside with an accident, and all the accident wasn't there, it popped up to the existence because of the argument of the contingency of all accidents. So we say that the bodies, it has to be popped up to the existence because it cannot be there without any accidents. It has to be alongside with the accident, and since it is with the accident and the accident wasn't there, so once the accident popped up to the existence, the body is there. So the bodies are emergent. So let's get back to the main argument. The main argument was like this: العالم حادث وكل حادث مفتقر إلى محدث فالعالم مفتقر إلى محدث. The world, the premise number one, the world is emergent, and خلاص, we already proved that. And then every emergent needs a doer or a creator. So the world needs a creator. So we proved that. Where is Allahu Akbar? We proved that premise. Now, why does um every emergent needs a doer? Okay, because we say that if there's like an emergent thing, like me, okay, Ahmed. If Ahmed wasn't there, so and then he's emergent, he brought up to the existence. So who bring Ahmed to the existence? So either Ahmed himself bring himself to the existence, which is insane, which is impossible, or someone else, which is my father and my mother. Okay? We say, okay, every emergent needs a doer. But the thing is, the people say, okay, eventually, like, it can not be Allah that did that things, did these emergents. We say no, it is impossible. It has to be Allah. It has to be the necessary being. We say that Ahmed, let's say there's like an accident, there's like an emergent thing, like emergent body, which is Ahmed, me. Okay. So Ahmed comes from his father and mother, okay, and his father and mother comes from their mother and father, and so on until the first man on the earth. Okay. Okay. What happened before the man exists? It wasn't There wasn't a life on the earth. Like there was like the earth were started to um like be ready to um, to host the human beings. But there was like different interpretation. There was like a big bang or something. Okay, so the thing is, there's like a set of emergent. Okay, set of emergence. Something happened because of something, because of something, because of something, because of something. Okay, we say eventually it is impossible to happen since not the beginning. It has to be started at some point. So this is impossible to be infinite. It has to be started at the beginning. It has a beginning. Like imagine that there is a soldier. There is a soldier and he has a gun and he shot a bullet. Okay. Now we have something. We say that, look, this man, this bullet, in order to go out from the gun, so this man has to has an order from the one higher in a higher rank than him. And this man in a higher rank than him must have an order from the one in a higher rank, and then in a higher rank, and then in a higher rank, and then in a higher rank. They call each other, and then they say the order, okay, shoot the bullet, okay? So we say it is impossible to go out unless this guy has an order. And this guy will never get the order unless the one before him gets it. Now, imagine that the sequence or the set of the orders goes to the infinite. Will this bullet go and shoot ever? We say no, it will not go out. But we see it. We see it. We took like a snapshot, a screenshot, and it's going there. So we say, khalas, since it goes, since we find it already done, so that we have to say that there is a beginning of an order, even like in million order before this man, but it has to be the beginning. It has to has a beginning. And this man gives an order to the one below him, and then below him, and then below him, and until it reaches this man, and then he shot the bullet. Exactly, we say this for the existence. The existence, we see the world. We see the planet of the earth and the universe. We see them. We can see this. So we say that it is impossible to happen because a set of infinite series of emergent thing. No, it has to have a beginning. Okay? And since this, we say the beginning, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a philosophy, we say it comes from the necessary being. The necessary being, okay? The being that must be there in order not to fall in a contradiction. And this necessary being, we call him Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the argument of God existence. Let's read it from the book, and then we end this class. طيب. So, Al-Allama Ad-Dardir, he says, then know that this world, meaning all that exists except for Allah, the exalted, the knowing. من غير شك حادث مفتقر لأنه قام به التغير, is without doubt emergent and contingent because change occurred within it. It is emergent as its existence after non-existence, whose negation is called beginninglessness. Okay, so know that being existent is a rational necessity for only the one who is worshipped. For clearly every effect is proof for the existence of an effector. So consider this well. This is the matan. Now, the explanation. First thing we need to know is necessity and contingency. Existence for a thing is either rational necessity, an impossibility, or possibility. This we explained it last time. If existence were rationally necessary for something, then this thing exists by virtue of what it is, and it is impossible for it not to exist. For otherwise, an absurdity would ensue. The only necessary existent is Allah. This is also why He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, jalla jalaluh, is called the necessary being. If existence were rationally impossible for something, then this thing is non-existent by virtue of what it is, and it is necessary for this thing to not to exist, for otherwise an absurdity would ensue. For example, the existence of seven-faced cube, since a cube is a six-faced, shape by virtue of what it is. So a seven-faced cube would be a seven-faced, six-faced shape. That is a contradiction. If existence were only rationally possible for something, then this thing accepts both existence and non-existence by virtue of what it is. Necessarily then, if this possible thing actually exists, again, necessarily then, if this possible thing actually exists, this means it acquired this existence from something else. Since the thing whose existence is not by virtue of what it is, must exist by virtue of what it is other than it. For this reason, possible existence are called contingents. All contingents are also emergent because they were brought into existence by being who granted them existence. Emergent meaning they began to exist. For the above, it should be clear that anything that actually exists either exists necessarily or contingently. If its existence was not granted to it by something else, then it exists necessarily. If its existence was granted to it by something else, then it is existence contingently. Now, the world's emergence, حدوث العالم. Know that this world is emergent and contingent. By world, we mean all that exists except for Allah Jalla Jalaluh. This is because the beings of the world are bodies that accepts the change, and acceptance of a change is an evidence for their being attributed with accidents. And being attributed with accidents is proof for their emergence. Thus, the occurrence of change in the world is how we come to know of its emergence. Body or jism, meaning a being with a dimensions, height, width, or depth, stretched out in space. For example, stars, planets, mountains, trees, animals, all of these are bodies, jism. Accidents. What is accidents? Accidents, arad, meaning a quality that is not necessary for the being it is attributed to, such that if this quality ceased to exist, it is not necessary for being attributed with it to cease to exist. For example, the galloping of a horse or the running of the horse, which is an accident that subsists within the horse. The galloping is an accident because it is a quality that the horse is attributed with, even though it is not necessary for the horse to be attributed with said quality. After all, if the galloping ceases for the horse, it is not necessary for the horse to cease to exist. Notice that each accident is emergent by virtue of what it is. This because the existence of accidents is not necessary for the beings they are attributed to, and whatever doesn't exist necessarily exists contingently. Moreover, the occurrence of change is proof that the changing being is attributed with accidents. For a change is nothing more than a transitioning from being attributed with one accident to being attributed with another accident. When the first accident ceases to exist, the second emerges into existence. For example, a body that changes from a rest to motion transitions from being attributed with a rest to being attributed with a motion when rest ceases to exist, motion then emerges into existence. With all of the above in mind, we argue that bodies began to exist because they are attributed with those emergent accidents. Premise number one, bodies cannot exist without accidents. Premise number two, whatever cannot exist without an accident, it is emergent. The conclusion, bodies are emergent. The above proof is called Burhan Huduth al-Jism or Burhan Huduth al-Ajsam, the proof for the emergence of bodies, proving its two premises. Proving its two premises is proof for the truth of the conclusion. So we will prove the two premises below. Premise one, it is impossible for a body to exist without an accident, because bodies cannot exist without being either at a rest or a motion, and each of rest and motion is an accident. This is because it is rationally possible for a moving body to stop by moving, and for a resting body to stop resting. Thus, at any given moment, a body is necessarily attributed with some accidents. Premise number two, whatever cannot exist without an accident is emergent, because the set of all accidents is emergent. And since the being in question can't exist without an accident, it couldn't have existed before the set of all accidents emerged into existence. Thus, said being cannot exist beginninglessly, and what is not beginningless is emergent. The set of all accidents is emergent because if it wasn't, then this would mean that there exists an infinite sequence of occurrence in the past. Each accident that emerges into existence would have been preceded by another ad infinitum. And since this is impossible, it is impossible for the rest of all accidents to be beginningless. It is impossible for an infinite number of accidents to have occurred in the past, because the past is the sequence of events which leads up to and then ends with the present moment. Whereas an infinite sequence would be endlessly by definition, and what is endlessly cannot come to an end. To make this clearer, I'll let you read the rest of them, or maybe I can record it also, inshallah ta'ala. But let's make it a stop for now,